This episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And if you're planning a trip to Walt Disney World soon and want to have your next trip to Walt Disney World be that much easier on yourself, have a friend, not only a partner, but a friend in helping you plan your next trip to Walt Disney World. There's no joking about that, Len. They are dead serious about helping you make your next trip that much easier. MEI and Mouse Fan Travel is that partner and friend as well. Why not give them a try? Visit them online at www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, April 8th, 2009, and this is episode 549 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hodgkin with StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Len Testa, co-author of The Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Len, can I just say that you are the big toe of this podcast?
It's a quote from Stripes, isn't it?
That is. It is.
Isn't that amazing? Sergeant Hulka.
Yes.
I just want you guys to know if we ever go to battle, I'll be right behind you. Sergeant Hulka, does this mean we're done for the day? I love that movie.
Great movie. Also joining us on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. And Mike,
yes,
I thought humans had really done everything we really could do, and then I discovered that 7-Eleven has added a little feature on the Big Gulp machine that can add vanilla to.
No, for me it's the lemon. I add lemon to everything.
No, the vanilla button cannot be pushed enough times for my liking.
It's like the morphine button when you're in the hospital.
That's right. It's like,
oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven.
Thank heaven.
I'm hooked.
Oh man, they don't have 7-Elevens in Greensboro. They have Circle K's.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Piggly Wiggly.
Things are amiss
No.
at the Circle K.
Yeah.
Well, it's Wednesday, and we're answering listener questions. And we'll start out with an email from Craig of the United Kingdom. Writes, guys, as usual, I love the podcast on the steakhouses, and I am definitely going to be going to Le Cellier. But one thing you have to bear in mind that in addition to the cost of the food, you also need to pay for park entry for Le Cellier unless you have an annual pass.
Right.
Just a thought, or you could always go to Manny's or Longhorn off-site. Well, I mean, obviously, if you're Disney World resort guest, you can also get in, regardless of what kind of ticket you have. But I guess that's a good point. If you're staying off property, that would be an issue. You have to pay for parking. But thank you, Craig, for the email.
Bob reminds me of the same thing. Every time I try and make reservations in the park, because he doesn't have an annual pass, which is amazing in and of itself. Yeah, but he's like, I'll blow a whole day of admission if I just go for that one dinner.
Yes. And then you tell him, well, we'll be thinking of you.
Yes, I was going to say, them is the breaks, Mr. Selinger. Doesn't it sort of like, buy the land, get the crocodiles type thing? You author a book on Walt Disney World, don't you pretty much have to do it? In Vegas, he's hysterical because we're going to Vegas in a couple of weeks. And I'm like, so we're going to start, we're going to eat it in the casinos. He's like, but I know this Mexican place, it's only 45 minutes outside of Vegas. I'm like, Bob, 45 minutes outside of Vegas is New Mexico.
I was going to say that.
We're not going that far. They've got alcohol, they've got gambling, they've got scantily clad women. Why are we leaving? What is this?
Exactly. Next email is from Brett Ward, who writes, is there a way to send out an email reminder to people to listen to the live show? I forgot to tune in again. Now I have to email my question and wait until Len, can I claim Social Security benefits? I'd say Scopa, but I'd heard when you hit the 150, the government cuts you off.
Exactly. The government just says, look, this can't possibly be right. Yeah, when Len hits Social Security. Yeah, you've only got 25 more years for that.
Yeah. Well, try. I mean, I guess
maybe 30.
Wouldn't be a bad idea to send out the email reminders. That's a good idea. Thanks, Brett. Brett adds, when Disney offers free dining, are you stuck with the plan, or will they allow you to apply the daily value towards the deluxe dining plan or another larger plan?
You can upgrade, yeah. Yeah, they'll give you the daily value of the plan to upgrade for the deluxe. That's a great question.
Cool. Next email is from Allie, who writes, hi, I'm Allie from Cali. I just recently began listening, and I love the show. I almost gave it up for Lent.
Oh, my God.
because it was such a pleasure, yeah. I always give up things like, chocolate. My sister Linda gave up Diet Coke until we realized that Lent is probably not designed to turn people into homicidal maniacs. So we came up with something else for her to give up. So she's back on the juice.
Nice. Right. Anyway, I have to do a how-to report for school, and being the Disney fanatic I am, even at only 13, I chose how to go on most rides at Disneyland in the shortest amount of time. What's the best way to do this? I would just use Disney World, but the SSA needs to be helpful, and almost no one at my school is even aware that there is a Disney World, even if they've been to Disneyland multiple times. Is it possible to go on every Disneyland attraction? When's the best time to do this? Has this been done before? Just so you know, my project is due very soon, and the research needs to be done. I'm typing this before checking the unofficial guide to Disneyland, so if this has already been answered, please disregard this email. Love everything about the show, and listening to it helps me keep a little Disney magic in my day when I'm away from the parks. Thanks for being awesome and inspiring me to write an essay on touring Disneyland. You all rock.
Okay.
Love,
now that she's in college.
Yeah, really.
And
No,
this
this is
question as
probably
well.
graduate school right now.
Is there an ultimate touring plan for Disneyland, Len?
There's not one for Disneyland, although we're heading out there next month in May. So so there'll be a little bi-coastal love on WDWT next month. But there's no reason why we couldn't come up with one. And in terms of background material, use the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World. There's a whole section there on how the touring plan software works. It's like 3 pages. Really good material on the background for the problem alley. And then I think my thesis is online too. You can always Google me.
Yeah, because if you Google Matt Hochberg, it goes, Google, let's say, did you mean Len Testa?
Did you mean Len Testa? Exactly. Other people who search for Matt Hochberg look for Len Testa.
That's right. It's like Google's like, no, seriously, you really want Len Testa, right? The other thing is, Len, do you think it's practical is it even feasible to do all the attractions at Disneyland in one day?
That's another interesting thing. So within the Magic Kingdom, there's 51 things to do in the ultimate touring plan. Depending on season of the year and what's crowded or what's open and what's not. In Disneyland, you're probably looking at a number closer to 65. The park would have to be open a lot longer for that to happen.
Okay. Next email is from Caitlin in Wisconsin, who writes, "Hey folks, love your show, just the right length, fun, and helpfulness. Keep up the good work. Do you guys answer questions about Universal too? Or is there somewhere with lots of good information on Universal I should go look at? We're Disney vets, but we've never been to Universal, and we'd like to spend a few days there at some point. Problem is, I can't find nearly the same amount of information that's available about Walt Disney World. Particularly, I'm trying to figure out when is the cheapest time to go and where I need to look for hotel discounts or sign up for things like newsletters to be alerted to them. There doesn't seem to be anything like Disney's value season that gives me the target weeks to plan around. If you can help with that, awesome. If not, just keep bringing the Disney love." I know nothing about Universal. In fact, when I have questions about Universal, 2 of our listeners, Mikey and Lauren, I just they're the locals over here, and send them an email and say, "Well, what the hell am I supposed to do over here?"
What about all
Universal tickets are almost always much, much, much less expensive than Walt Disney World. I mean, so to the point where any discount. I mean, what was like an annual pass, like $100?
It's basically, if you go like 2 days, I think it ends up being cheaper just to get an annual pass.
Yeah. So in terms of a discount, there's not much they can do on that. It's not like Disney where 25% off of something's a couple $100. Although the hotels are interesting. You probably could use something like kayak.com. If you want to stay at a Universal hotel like the Portofino or the what's the Polynesian themed hotel?
I have no. The Hard Rock is the only one I know of.
No, there's the Hard Rock too. So you could use Kayak to see when they typically discount those things.
Kayak.
Right.
Kayak.
Doesn't All Ears have a big section on Universal too? Like
They do. They do, and Mary Waring site also has information.
Yeah, Mary Waring
right,
says,
right.
So I was going to say check Mouse Savers too.
Yeah. But to answer your question, Caitlin, also, no, we're not. We don't talk about Universal, partially because we don't focus on it, and we only talk about things we actually know about, or think we know about at least.
Yeah, let's make that clear.
A bunch of people just said talked to their iPods and said, "Oh, really?"
Exactly. We think we know what we're talking about, but that might not actually be the case.
I can just imagine like 100 people on a subway going at once. Really?
Heliopolis is writing down classic lines to that. Oh, really? Okay, let me try these out.
Yeah, there'll be a shirt about that in about 2 weeks.
There's a bunch of people driving just said BS to no one in particular in their car. Funny.
Next email is from Lori Gabriel of Snellville, Georgia, who writes, "Long-time listener, first-time writer. Love the show and appreciate its brevity. Just one comment about Monday's Coronado review episode. I agree with everything you guys said, but having one differing opinion on the pepper market. We've only stayed at Coronado's Springs, the month it opened, and our kids who were teens and preteens at the time fell in love with the pepper market because they could get what they wanted. As the mother of 5, I can tell you I was elated. I was so sick of arguments at home about which fast food restaurant we were going to, and it was a total surprise to find a place that they could all get what they wanted. Yeah. We ate there almost every day that trip and on subsequent trips. They always asked to return. Even now that they're all in their 20s, we almost always have our departure day breakfast at the Pepper Market. So while it may not be good for families with small children, it might be a saving grace for families with older kids. Though I do agree with you that it's dumb to have the server bring the drinks. Thanks again for all the hard work.
Lori, that's exactly what my daughter feels too, Hannah. When she was, we started going there when she was 8, and we've actually made special trips over there just because she wants Pepper Market. So even if we're staying at a completely different hotel, and by the way, this is another good reason for having a car on site, we'll drive over to Pepper Market just so she can get something to eat. She loves it too. So, yeah, totally agree with you on that. That's great.
Yeah. Next email is from Alex. More Coronado Springs comments here. Writes, hi, guys and gal if present. I've been listening for a long time, and I've wanted to write in about many things on several occasions, but have yet to do so. Finally, I now have to put my 2 cents in there into response to Matt's bad experience with the Coronado Springs Resort, which may or may not have been a long time ago by the time you read this. I come right out there and say that I happen to be in the small minority of people who actually love this resort. What? From what I have found on different messages, people either really like Coronado or really hate it. I can understand people not liking it, but if they have a particularly bad experience, as they would with any resort, but otherwise I just don't get it. Okay, the Pepper Market is a bit of a pain, and the partial service thing is not necessary at all. But this certainly is not any reason to put the resort down. Personally, I would recommend taking your food, quote, to go, and bringing it outside so you can enjoy the view and not have to worry about the, quote, waiter issue. Yes, the resort is very large, but because of that, Coronado Springs is just another one of those Disney things that requires extensive planning ahead of time. If you know you will be spending little time at the resort itself, you should request something in the casitas section or certain parts of the cabanas, as they are relatively close to the main building and bus stop. The ranchos are a hike to the main building, but they are very close to the pool, so if you know you'll be utilizing that resource, the ranchos aren't a bad idea. What I really don't understand was Matt's negative impression of the bus system. If I recall correctly, on my last trip, I timed the bus ride to Epcot and the studios to be no longer than about 7 or 8 minutes, less than that to Animal Kingdom, maybe 12 minutes or so tops of the Magic Kingdom. The farthest things seem to be downtown Disney. Comparing these times to what I remember at one of the All-Stars, the times really don't seem that bad for me. Sure, the parks aren't a quick boat or monorail ride away, but the timing seems better than, say, Caribbean Beach or Saratoga Springs, again, if my memory serves correctly. Basically, before this gets any longer, I just want to reiterate that I believe that Coronado Springs just requires that you know what you're getting yourself into in terms of size and location, and knowing how to plan accordingly, which any seasoned Disney traveler is quite experienced with. So that's my input for now. I'm interested to hear what everyone has to say about this topic. I really love the show and look forward to listening every week. Thanks so much for keeping my Walt Disney World only so far as my iPod. My issue with Coronado is just that I feel like everything is needlessly far away. First of all, the building system, it doesn't make sense. It's all like a maze almost in terms of getting from your room to the parking lot. It's a hike almost anywhere from your room to the main building or the pool. So either you're close to the main building, which I guess is nice, but then you're a ridiculous hike away from the pool, or vice versa. Like you mentioned in the email, Alex, you could be in the ranchos, you'd be close to the pool, but then you're a mile away from the main building and getting over there. So, I mean, that really bothered me first and foremost. I felt, now, bus service we've always mentioned, and this goes for any resort, Coronado's or otherwise, is hit or miss. And Len, I know you've talked about this many times, that sometimes you get lucky and the buses work out real well for you and you say, wow, bus service is fantastic. And then there's that time where Newell, Scopa, and I run from Saratoga to the Magic Kingdom in like 10 minutes, and you took the bus and it took you like an hour.
It took longer. It took longer for me to take the bus directly to the Magic Kingdom entrance than it did for you guys to get there, to get to the TTC, and then take the ferry over, which is just astounding to my mind.
Yeah, and we waited.
Yeah, and you waited for me. That's right.
I mean, we really could have gone back and forth in the time it took you, but I mean, that's hit or miss. And the thing is though, it doesn't seem like that resort is located close to any other particular resort. The All-Stars, I feel, is closer to Animal Kingdom. Coronado it's still further away than the All-Stars is in my experience. I just don't think it's close to anything. I just don't see a compelling reason to stay there versus staying at any other resort. I mean, give me any other.
You know, it's funny.
I would stay there.
The thing. So, by the way, I think Alex's email was fabulous. It a couple of points. One, I think the main reason why. The one thing I don't like about Pepper Market, and I like Pepper Market. I like the food selection. I like the type of food they have. Checking out is inefficient. Typically when I'm there, they'll have 1, maybe 2 registers open, and it's just frustrating to see a line of 6 people deep to check out. Because at that point, if you're eating breakfast in the morning, you want to get to a bus stop, and it just drives me crazy that there aren't 3 or 4 cash registers open during the busier times of the day.
Absolutely.
The other thing too, though, about the hike, I think because I did spend a ton of time there when I was doing the photos for the guide, but I've always found finding the casitos, finding the ranchos, or finding the cabanas far easier navigation than Port Orleans Riverside. I get lost at Port Orleans Riverside every single time I'm there. Whereas for me, visually, the visual cues of Coronado Springs work much better.
See, at Coronado, I'm always like, oh, wait, here we are. Oh, no, wait, that's the wrong fountain. I always navigate by landmarks, and there's 8,000 fountains, and they're all slightly different from each other. And I always end up never going the same path twice. It's like I need to be like Hansel and Gretel and leave breadcrumbs.
Hansel? Hansel? Good.
Anyway.
That's a great letter, though. That's a great letter, absolutely. Alex. Thanks.
Next email is from...
Letter. What the hell am I saying letter for?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm Scopa. Thank you for putting pen to parchment. Thank you for putting quill to parchment, Alex.
Whoever this is did not write their name and location. So remember, if you email us, name and where you're from. Anyway, whoever this person is wrote, in episode 454, I commented that 2 years ago they did Hollow Wishes every night during our stay in October. I'm happy to report that they did not do that this year. On another note, riding in the front of the monorail has to be the coolest free thing to do at Walt Disney World. We had a 7:15 a.m. ADR at Chef Mickey's and decided to use the Ticket and Transportation Center instead of the Contemporary lot because we were doing Magic Kingdom that day. My wife had no clue you could do this, and my 4.5-year-old daughter was stunned. The best part was we had to stop on the tracks before the Magic Kingdom stop, and Cinderella Castle was dead ahead as the sky slowly began to lighten at sunrise. We sat for a good 5 minutes watching the castle change colors. I had no idea that they kept the castle lit 24/7, but the cast member said they did. Have a great day, guys. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, I think if they if they ever let mayors from major U.S. cities ride in the front of the monorail, would have much better public transportation in this country. Everyone would be like, I got to get me one of these. It'd be like little towns in Nebraska. Go, what is this monorail doing here? Some guy went to Disney World. We got one.
Electrified, bona fide, certified monorail.
Exactly.
Next email is from Ted. Right, hi guys. I recently posted the following question to a Disney forum and received a response below from an expert moderator on the site. The unofficial guide suggests that fast passes don't have to be used on the same day. Is it accurate to say that Disney is clamping down on the next day use of fast passes? Thanks for your thoughts.
Yeah, they do need to be used on the same day now.
Yeah, they used to be when we first started this show, and for about a year or two afterwards. You really could take a fast pass that was 8 months old and you still use it. I mean, most cast members did not care. But now they've changed the fast passes so that it's very obvious that it's an old fast pass and you'll get busted on it very easily. So
the dates are prominently printed in like 22 point font. So
absolutely,
yeah, that's a shame too.
Next email from Phil DeLucia, who writes, I'm back home in New York. Just wanted to say hi. It was great meeting Matt and his lovely bride this past Saturday at the Tower of Terror race. Unfortunately, you had disappeared after Toy Story Mania. Hopefully, we'll get to meet again and maybe talk about Walt Disney World. My wife, daughter, and I will be down again very soon, so hopefully we'll see you then. I wanted to share the following with your listeners, though. If you're planning on seeing a stage show in front of Cinderella Castle and there's a threat of rain, catch the earliest performance since the show is canceled if it rains. We missed the Mix and Mingle show this past Thursday at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party because of rain, and the parade was shortened as well.
Oh, rats.
Following Len's Studios touring plan, get a fast pass for either Tower of Terror or Rock and Roller Coaster, then go to Toy Story Mania via standby. We arrived a little late on Saturday, and by 10 a.m. the fast pass for Toy Story Mania was for 6:30 or 7 o'clock p.m. Luckily, we got to experience the ride at the Tower of Terror 13K party. And finally, I have to agree with Mr. Scopa regarding unauthorized or abused parking at the deluxe monorail resorts. I had the worst time finding a parking spot when I got back to the Polynesian resort. It's actually easier to get to park at the moderate resort than at one of the deluxe resorts. The only time I was able to find close parking was after the Tower of Terror 13K party, and that was around 1:30 a.m. in the morning. Keep up the great work of the podcast. Hopefully I'll see you very soon.
So just a quick note, we've actually changed the Studios touring plan to go to Toy Story Mania first now. This email is back from like October, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But thanks. It was a pleasure meeting you, Phil, and hopefully we will see you soon.
Tower of Terror race in October again. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, it is a nice race. You should go for it.
It is. Thanks.
Next email is from Mark Ray, who writes, hello, gentlemen.
Yes. Go ahead. No. Remind me to tell you about the race survey I got.
Okay.
After this. So, okay, go ahead. Mark's question.
Mark writes, hello, gentlemen, Len and Annette. We We just
Screw Mark's question. Let's go on. Let's talk about my race thing. Then. I'm just kidding.
We just returned from a quick 4-day trip to Walt Disney World over Columbus Day weekend. We had a great trip and noted one interesting and disturbing trend. There seems to be a proliferation of VIP tour guides like the ones highlighted on the recent Travel Channel special. These guys were cast members, and their guests did not appear to be celebrities, but rather ordinary tourists. I'm assuming these guests simply paid for the added attention and benefits. Okay, so here's the interesting, disturbing part. These tour guides were delivering some pretty major perks. Here are my examples. One, we saw on more than one occasion the tour guide lead their group to the handicapped loading area and bypass the line. Two, directly in front of me, a cast member at Expedition Everest made me wait while she printed out 24 fast passes and handed them to the tour guide. And three, I watched the tour guide walk up to the desk at Tusker House at noon and secure an immediate table for his party. The tour guides in each of the circumstances were lurking around and appeared to be very self-conscious. I approached a tour guide at the Tusker House and inquired about the service. He was the most unhelpful and rudest cast member I had ever encountered, almost as if I'd accused him of doing something wrong. I didn't, by the way. I was actually looking to get in on the perks. I've struggled with my reaction to this trend. Part of me says, hey, if you want the service, pay for it. That's America. But the way it was done was very un-Disney-like, and I think that's bothering me. I mean, cutting lines, manipulating FastPass distribution, etc. Like Scopa said of the parking at the Contemporary for the Magic Kingdom on the pretext of having dinner, it's just wrong. Furthermore, these guests made my trip a little less enjoyable. Here's what I mean. We're very fortunate and tend to stay at the deluxe resorts. My stay at the Polynesian, however, does not make a stay at the Howard Johnson any worse. It may stink, but not because I'm kicked back at the Polynesian. In the tour guide case, Disney offered, and those guests paid for, a service that made my experience a little bit worse. I had to wait in line a little longer. The fast passes for Expedition Everest ran a little bit early. I waited longer on my reserved table at Tusker House, etc. I'm interested in your opinions. Am I just another annual pass whiner? Keep up the good work. Mark from Atlanta. Interesting question, Mark.
It is.
I know that a lot of, from what I've heard from cast members, a lot of times regular people get, quote, regular people, sorry.
Regular people like you and me.
Get, well, maybe you, but not me. We'll get these VIP tour guides. Most of them use them as really babysitters. Which is actually probably, I think, the worst part about it. Generally, they just kind of, hold bags and watch kids so adults can kind of enjoy it more on their own. I don't have a problem with, trust me, these people are paying arms and legs for this service. It's not cheap by any means. So that being said, you pay for it. That's what it is. I understand your cause for concern, Mark. Certainly when you see these kinds of things happening, it's unfortunate. The thing is it's kind of something that happens with all cast members, really. It's kind of it's part of a perk. You work at Walt Disney World, you kind of make connections over there. You know people over there, and I don't know. To me, yes, it's kind of annoying, but it's not like they're shoving you all aside through the standby line as they lead their group through it, and making it flagrantly obvious that they're cutting the whole line. I don't think anything they did was wrong. I think there's some gray areas. In fact, I think the thing at Tusker House may have just been they just lucked out and got a table over there. I don't think they kicked anyone out of their table.
Yeah, a table for 20. It's unlikely that they kick somebody out of their table. They probably had a pre-existing reservation, or they called ahead. There's some sort of arrangement ahead. You just don't have that many free spaces at Tusker House.
Right. What do you think, Glenn? To me, it's kind of a gray area in that it's not the best thing in the world, but I don't see it as a major problem. What's your thought on all these things that Mark was talking about?
Disney's always been a pretty egalitarian place where if you look at FastPass, right, there's no technical reason why Disney couldn't tier the FastPass system to give more perks to people who stay at deluxe resorts. But they've resisted the urge to do so, or even the chance to make a little bit more money. And for that, we give them a lot of credit. They could have gone the universal way, right? And given perks to certain people who stay at their hotels, and they've not. And I think what Mark is talking about is a reflection of those instances where Disney isn't continuing to do that. The overall effect on any given line is any given situation is really, really small. In a typical day, there's 30,000 people in the Magic Kingdom, but tour groups, even 200 people in a tour group is less than 1%. It's a blip.
Yeah. What do you think, Noel?
I just wish I had that kind of money.
But you know what? If you did, you would spend it on something else. Because you've been to the parks. You know the strategies for waiting in line. So they got to the front of the line.
True. That's true.
The average wait in line using a touring plan is 4 to 7 minutes. So the thing is, though, you wouldn't spend the money on that. It's $125 an hour, right? If you use a touring plan, your average wait in line is 4 to 7 minutes. So what are you really buying with that $125 an hour? It's not like you're getting a huge perk by being front of the line. If your wait is 2 minutes versus 7 minutes, is that 5 minute wait really worth $125 an hour to you? No, I mean you'd find. And there's like a 5 hour minimum, right?
If I had that kind of money, it might be worth it.
Well, I don't think it's really worth it. I think if you have a good touring plan, you're gonna get through the parks much faster. You plan ahead, like Mark said. You don't really need that kind of stuff. I think the only thing they really provide is, like I said, babysitting. Right, they're really good at, someone wants to go ride Tower of Terror, they'll watch your kids for you. They'll hold your bags for you. It's nice.
But we're talking about the average guest. I'm talking about superstars or Bon Jovi type people that go, and who's the guy from ER that was just there? I'm sure he had something like that.
Yeah,
Clooney was there?
Yeah. John Stamos.
Oh, Stamos. John Stamos. Yeah. John Stamos.
Yeah, I gotta respect him. He's married Rebecca Romaine, and he's a huge Disney fan.
No, they got divorced, Len. You didn't know. That's right. She's back on the market. That's why. That makes me excited.
Hey, Len, he's available.
Where my thoughts are, John Stamos is available. That was the first thing I thought of. Actually, I was really totally sad about that. I think, Hannah's a huge John Stamos fan from his work with Full House. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'll have to tell her.
All right. Next email is from Tony Castellanova, who writes, "This is about the question of being able to hide after the park closes and how Disney knows when it's empty. Having worked security at Epcot, World Showcase, this is my experience. After management calls the park close, I used to start my sweep at American Adventure, front of show, and then continue to the backstage area. We used to go from building to building, including bathrooms. Then I would meet my counterpart doing the other side of World Showcase. We would then check out way to the fountain and meet security from Future World. Then the four of us would check all areas of the main gate. Tell management the park is all clear. Then all the backstage entrance would be open and the hundreds of third shift workers would flood the park. If I want, I can come on the show and talk about this. Yeah, it's really exciting about sweeping back. But that is interesting, though, Tony, how you guys do that. But like I said, I don't think it's practical, Len. Sorry.
He's going to do it, though. I know. I have faith.
In Epcot, you say, I wonder if there's got to be infrared cameras. And, like in Vietnam, the U.S. government spread motion sensing equipment all over the ground to detect when the
I'm thinking more high tech, Len. I'm thinking something out of the movie Enemy of the State, where Gene Hackman is going to keep you free from the people tracking you by satellites.
Yeah, I'm thinking that I'll be trying to quietly inch my way through the shrubbery over the United Kingdom, and all of a sudden a black helicopter lands right there in front of the gazebo, silent black helicopter type thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's time for our last question of the day, and Newell, you're back, and it's time for you to pick the last question of the day. And I think I know which one you're going to pick, but I'm going to give you 3 options anyway.
Oh, you know me so well, don't you?
I do. All right, well, your options for today are, let's go with dining plan, Keys of the Kingdom, or Len's sexy voice.
Right.
I'm in a dining type of mood, so I'm going to go with Len's sexy voice for $200.
I said we would never do these anymore with the emails are just flickantly going for Newell, but this one is just good.
It's not going to have anything to do with Len.
Last email today is coming from Stacy from New Fairfield, Connecticut. Perhaps I knew that would get my email read.
You see?
Hi to one and all. I somehow stumbled on the WDW Today podcast, and we're instantly hooked. I've learned so much from listening to the podcast. You always make me laugh, and there is something a little sexy about Len's voice.
Oh, see?
It's all Newell's credit right there. If we give out Academy Awards, it'd be him.
I run it through a lot of mixers in order to make it sound
exactly. Yeah.
Here's my question. My husband and I decided to take our son to Disney in May for his 13th birthday, thanks to the Buy 4 Get 3 promotion. My husband has been to Disney in the past, but this will be his first trip for my son and me. I bought the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World. Mine looks just like Len's in his Facebook picture. Post it's sticking out of everywhere. The Passporter and a Birnbaum's guide. I also check forums in the Walt Disney World website a few times a week. I am highly organized, obsessive planner, and a control freak. I don't want to miss anything. How can I let go a little and enjoy my vacation, yet still make sure that we see everything we want? Will all this planning ruin my trip? I hope that you're going to be able to answer my question before our trip, but if not, I'll still be able to listening long after our trip and anxiously waiting Len to answer my question.
In that sexy voice.
All right, big boy, you're up.
All right. So the first of all, thanks Stacey for the email and for reading the book. It is a balance between trying to keep everything organized so that you're not unnecessarily inconvenienced or waiting in long lines, and then kind of going with the flow. I would say, in the morning is the biggest time, or the most important time to have a plan and stick to it. You can definitely start relaxing around lunchtime though, and kind of going with the flow. And the plans have a lot of flexibility too. 15 minutes here or there doesn't really affect the plans too much. So if you find that your husband and son want to do something unscheduled, go look in a shop, play a video game, take a break, grab a 6 or 7 Dole Whips or whatever, go do that. In the overall scheme of things, it's not going to matter. Get through those first few attractions, though. And make sure you schedule enough downtime, especially in the afternoons, and then, in the occasional morning, and let them do whatever they want to.
Cool. Well, that's it for us today. Don't forget that this episode of WDW Today has been sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And Newell, do you know what's better, the next best thing, rather, to Len's sexy voice?
What is that?
FreeTouringPlans.com.
Wow. You get multiple things for that.
That's right. If you book any qualifying 3 or more night Magic Your Way or Mouse Fan Travel group vacation package through April 30th, 2009, you get a free 1-year subscription to TouringPlans.com,
wow.
which, of course, is the cited 2009 unofficial guide to Walt Disney World. So you can get all the Len you ever wanted, baby. And you can go to Walt Disney World. It's pretty nice. So check them out at MouseFanTravel.com. Want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the WDW Today website at WDWToday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.